is all about creativity. And this stream is talking about creativity in the age of AI. Now, if you have been a subscriber and follower of Life Vocabulary content since it began in 2016, then you will know there has been a big focus on capturing the creative process by speaking to different types of creators. You will also know that there has been a focus on having conversations around culture and how it is essentially shared, disseminated, in order for us to understand how ideas flow. Not just spread, but how ideas flow and how they circulate. The creative process is such an interesting space, and many teachers, many artists have their own theories about it. But I think what many will agree on is that the creative process, the flow state, as we've all come to know, is one that requires a great deal of presence. And to be present requires us to be human. You know where I'm going with this. So, creativity in the age of AI already suggests a conflict, a dissonance. Creativity, AI. Now, if you want to see creativity from the lens of being human, then there is. But then many can argue and push back, and they can state that creativity can also be within the space of AI and automation and technology. Don't humans use technology in their creative pursuits and their creative offerings? And what we're doing there is we are adding technology to our process. The difference, however, is are we leading the process using technology as an instrument, or is technology now leading the process and we are the instrument, or we are much more passive? And so that's the very clear distinction I want to speak about. Creativity in the age of AI requires us creatives and artists to not be in the passive role, but in the active role, because of course, technology has played a part in creativity, but the human has still led the process. The human has still been the active, let's say, protagonist. What I advocate for, and I continue to argue, not just over here, but on Serena's Playbook, which is my channel for leveling up your strategic thinking within a brand, content creator, and communication space, is to not give up and outsource. Hello. Hey, Devil Crab. It's not outsource and not give up your own cognitive ability, your human ability, your power of presence, which is required for the creative process. Otherwise, what do you have? What's left? Because this isn't just about outsourcing. This is about cutting out a really valuable experience we have as humans when we give ourselves over to the creative flow. And what we gain from that, not just in terms of achievement or notoriety, but we achieve a sense of peace. It's great for our state of mind, for our mental health. And if we are going to continue to propagate the idea that mental health is supremely important in the way that big corporate brands speak about it, like they did for a great deal of time when it came to ESG, we should then be investing our time, attention, and energy in creative pursuits which we know pay off very well. The dividends are there for our mental health, for our well-being, but also for our sense of connection to the world and our sense of connection to community, because we know there are many who appreciate art, appreciate creativity, and that then forms an opportunity and an avenue for the artist and for the creative to build connections, to build contacts and a community. Now, more pushback will come from the AI evangelical types who will say everything will change. And what I've just spoken about on Serena's Playbook is this: if there is change, there is a transition to that change. There is a middle bit, there is a space, and there is opportunity for leaders, thinkers, creatives, artists to be part of that process. If there is change, there must also be advocates for the most meaningful to be protected and to be kept and not thrown out with the bathwater. So pushback comes from many who prefer technology, who prefer automation over human creativity. And we know many ideas exist all at once, which is why I'm writing a book called Many Things at Once, because there are many things happening at once. And my background in systems thinking, my background in communications and media for more than 20 years, but being a creative as well, has taught me that things are never so, I would say, not just clear cut, but not so final. When there are AI evangelists, advocates for automation, being so absolute, that's the word I was looking for, absolute, being so absolute about what will take place, they don't take into account uncertainty, complexity. And the trajectory, the path of progress or movement is never linear. Creatives know this, artists know this. And so it's really important to inject your perspective, your view, and the intel that you have, so that those leading those processes, those journeys, whether it's a journey with an audience, customer, a stakeholder segment, it's really important that those who are advocating for honoring the human creative process and all the benefits of it are part of those conversations, which is why I have Puck's House Institute, because we need to center the human experience. We need that to be leading, not being a, let's say, an afterthought or an accessory. It has to be the main bit of the meal, if you like. Many analogies, and that's why I wanted to talk about creativity in the age of AI, because there was always technological change, and there were always tools and better ways of doing things. But now, because we are facing automation, mass consumption, there is space for change, because there will be change. But that transition, it requires us to zoom out our thinking, find our space within the space, find our place, within the space, and influence and advocate in a powerful way. But as we know, as artists and creators, we have to give ourselves to that journey, and things are never clear cut. As a strategic thinker, I know that sometimes I have to start with a hypothesis or an idea. Within the creative space, we know that outcome, that output isn't always predictable. And so as long as you're with it and you stay with it, then you know that you can arrive at moments of insight, progress. And that can be the result or the ROI, if you like. But not everyone thinks that way, which is why it's so important for creators and artists to be at the center of this conversation, or at least be a major stakeholder in the conversation. So this is the direction of this channel, Life Vocabulary. There will be meaningful content here. Now, let's just be very clear. The approach of this channel is no longer daily or weekly content in order to compete with the algorithm. It's about providing meaning. So you should know that subscribing to Life Vocabulary means that you will receive content that will be very much significant in your creative process, in your thinking process. That's what I want this space to be, which is what I initially intended it to be. But, as all creators, especially when you're in the content creation game, you begin to have the algorithm lead you in your content creation journey. This space is very much about more meaningful, substantial content. If you want to use the adage quality over quantity, then fine, but do ensure that you have your notifications ticked so that you get notified when something new is available and published over here. This is the main channel for the Pucks House Institute, which is all about being multidisciplinary. Much more about that will come. But for now, continue to be creative. Let's continue to share our insights. And I'll see you in the next one. But there are many other ways for you to contact me. All links are provided in the description. Take care.